Hello everyone, welcome to Best Recipes with Sharon. Today's recipe is for herbed chicken and cornmeal dumplings. This is one of the southern comfort foods at its best. This recipe makes enough for about 2 or 3 people, but you'll have enough dumplings to have left over and use as biscuits afterwards. Does it sound appetizing? Well, it really is. It's a real good comfort food, very tasty, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. So start by preparing a couple of carrots. So wash, peel, and cut them into coins, and you'll need about 1 cup of these. Next, we'll wash and cut some celery, and you'll need about a half a cup of diagonally sliced celery. We'll also need half a cup of chopped onions. You will need a large pot with a lid. This is a 1-pot meal, so let's get ready to put this together. Start with 1/8 cup of butter. Place your heat on medium-high and start melting the butter. Now then place the carrots in the butter and continue cooking. And I'm just giving it a good stir here to make sure that the butter coats the carrots nicely. I let the carrots cook for maybe a minute or 2 before I add the celery. At this point we can also add the onions. Then give it a good stir and place the lid on it and continue cooking. Turn your heat down so it's just a simmer for about 5 minutes. It helps the vegetables to absorb the flavor of the butter. Be careful that your heat is not on too high, you don't want to scorch the vegetables, and stir them once in a while. Now sprinkle in 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour. This will help to thicken it up, and you just stir that in briskly, and you'll notice that it'll thicken up quite quickly. And this has such an appetizing aroma while it's cooking, and the smell's going throughout the whole house. So alright, let's continue building this. Now add 1 3/4 cup of chicken broth. Next, I'm going to add some Italian herbs. I've got one that needs to be freshly ground. I actually bought that by mistake, but my goodness, this is really fresh, so I actually quite like it. So you can buy this already ground for you, but you need a tablespoon of Italian herbs and spices, and add that to the pot. And next, you'll need a little bit of kosher salt. I'm adding about 1/4 teaspoon here. Stir it together, and turn your heat on high and bring it up to a boil. And let it simmer for about 4 minutes, no more than that. Now to prepare some cooked chicken. Now I'm using some rotisserie chicken here, and I do like white meat, but you can use whatever you like. We just need about 1 3/4 cup of cubed chicken, and add that directly to your broth. And then give it a good stir. Then remove it from the heat while we prepare the dumplings. You want your vegetables to still be a little bit crisp at this point. Now for the dumplings, let's go for it. Take out a large bowl, add a half a cup of cornmeal, and a half a cup of all-purpose flour, and also half a cup of buttermilk. Then add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. Use your large spoon and simply mix this all together until it forms a soft dough. Now this will make enough dumplings for more than enough. And because the chicken recipe is for 2 or 3 people, the dumplings will be extra, and so if you only want enough for 2 people, you could half the recipe for the dumplings if you just want that amount. And I like the extra dumplings because you can use them as biscuits afterwards for leftovers. And everybody goes for the dumplings, so it's always good to have more than enough. And you can see the texture of the dough here. So now we'll drop the dumpling dough into the broth. You can drop it by spoonfuls or use your hands to shape it a little bit. You can make it as small or as large as you want it to be. And leave a little bit of space between them so that they can rise when they're cooking. Place the lid on the pot and let them simmer for about 10 minutes. Leaving the lid on the whole time, then turn the heat off and let them sit for about another 5 minutes. And you'll know the dumplings are done when they're dry to the touch. This is looking so good, can't wait to dive into this. So let's give it a try. So alright, herb chicken and cornmeal dumplings sounds good, but wait till you try this. And if you have any leftovers, simply scoop the dumplings into a bowl, and then place the chicken in a separate bowl, and cover it and place it in the fridge, and you have something for another meal. And the leftover dumplings can be used like a biscuit. You can cut them in half and add butter or warm them up a little bit. So thanks so much for watching today's episode, and until next time, happy eating.